World News on the morning of February 7, Singapore brings ChatGPT into schools, NATO Secretary General visits the US, Poland's strongest army in Europe. Asia. Straits Times. Singapore's Ministry of Education, MO, is guiding teachers at schools and institutions to learn how to use artificial intelligence, AI, tools like ChatGPT to enhance learning. CNAS. Despite the uncertainties of the global economy, the Indonesian economy recorded growth of 5.31% in 2022, the highest since 2013. BMA. The Bangkok Metropolitan Administration, BMA, will this year open 40 to 50 small public parks located near residential communities. Yonhap. South Korea's Prime Minister Han Duck-soo said the country's relations with Japan must be forward-looking, in the context of Seoul's announcement of a plan to tackle the issue of wartime forced labor, which is a cause of tension. In relation to Tokyo, relations between South Korea and Japan should be normalized, while providing adequate communication for those who have suffered various pains. Prime Minister Han Duck-soo speaks at the National Assembly meeting of Korea on February 6. New York. South Korea increases Sri Lanka's annual employment quota to 6,500 by 2023, according to Foreign Employment and Labor Minister Manisha Nanayakara. Tokyo. On February 6, Japan's foreign ministry announced that it had joined a measure to impose price ceilings on Russian petroleum products. IANS. About 70% of large areas of Mongolia are in the cold and are experiencing up to 60 centimeters of snowfall. Europe. Sky News. The total number of people killed by a magnitude 7.8 earthquake with an epicenter at a depth of 17.9 kilometers in Turkey and Syria on the morning of February 6 has increased to more than 3,700 people. Sunday Times. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak will consider withdrawing Britain from the European Convention on Human Rights, ECHR, if the government's plans to prevent illegal migration are found to be illegal by the European Court of Human Rights. BBC. Health workers in the UK began their biggest strike on February 6, when thousands of nurses and ambulance crews took to the streets to march over a dispute over salary increases. AP Norway should give Ukraine around 75 billion crowns, $7.3 billion, in aid over the next 5 years, Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre suggested at a meeting with opposition leaders on February 6. Euronews. The Italian government said the global ransomware attack on thousands of servers in Italy and other countries was likely caused by cybercriminals, and not from a state or entity like government. Americas. NATO. Today, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg begins his visit to the U.S., is expected to meet with Foreign Minister Antony Blinken, Defense Secretary Lloyd J. Austin III, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. Bloomberg. Dell Technologies Inc. will cut 6,650 employees, or 5% of its global workforce. Merco Press. Ecuadorians go to the polls in a referendum on the extradition of citizens involved in organized crime, amid increasing violence in the country. Reuters. Peru's government decided to extend a 2-month state of emergency to end weeks of violent protests that have left nearly 50 people dead. Africa. AFP. On February 6, Ethiopians went to the polls in a referendum on forming a 12th regional government in the south, marking the third such referendum in less than 4 years. The National. Egypt and Qatar held the first meeting of diplomatic groups responsible for coordinating regional affairs in Cairo. Reuters. At least 34 people were killed in clashes in Somaliland, a breakaway northern Somali region on the morning of February 6. Oceania. Reuters. Australian Trade Minister Don Farrell agreed to attend a face-to-face meeting with his Chinese counterpart Wang Wentao in Beijing in the near future. ABC. Victoria, Australia's second most populous state, has launched a nighttime air patrol program to guard against fire risks, which often peak during the summer. Yonhap. The Reserve Bank of Australia and the Central Bank of Korea have agreed to extend the bilateral currency swap agreement for another 5 years, giving businesses more flexibility when using the local currency in commercial transactions.